Hello everyone. My name is Mardi and welcome to my channel. I am participating in a collab put on by Constance at Cosmopolitan Cornbread. The collab is called March Canning Madness, and this year it's an open collab. Now for the whole month of March, you can upload a video following the canning guidelines for whichever country you live in. I live in Canada. I'm following a recipe taken out of the Bernardin canning book. It is a carrot jam recipe. It has specific ingredients in it that is required a successful gelling or a setting up of the jam. Now, I have not made this recipe before, so we will see if by following that recipe, if I can get it to set up nicely. Now, I have heard this is a wonderful recipe, that it tastes amazing. It has all my favorite ingredients in it. Carrots, pears, cooked pineapple, like the canned pineapple, which is a requirement. You're not able to use a fresh pineapple. And I am really looking forward to this recipe. I will be making 3 batches today, but each batch I am making separately. So I will be following the guidelines every step of the way, because when I do that, I have success. So let's get at it.
Now, I didn't want to bore you with the washing in hot soapy water and rinsing of the jars, but that is what I always do for when I put them away. But even though I know they're clean, they need to be re-washed just before you do your canning. So they've been rinsed, I set them on this rack so they would dry off, and they're just about there now. Now, I use the Bernardin lids. It's the rings and lids. I find it's a better deal. I don't know about where you guys are at, but up here in Ontario, sometimes, you know, just buying the lids alone, unless you catch a deal or a sale, which I do like to do, and a lot of the stores are really good about that, especially going into canning season, or maybe towards what they think is the end of canning season. So I like to stock up, and that's how I save money when I'm doing my canning. So I've already washed them up. They drip dry. They're in this bowl. They're ready to go. Now I have extras. I have extras in my jars. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a triple batch. I will not be doing that all in the same pot. It's going to be done one batch at a time. So I will just show you today what a single batch looks like. So I have 1.5 cups of finely grated peeled carrots in a bowl, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, and 1.5 cup of cored and peeled pears, can of pineapple, and we need that with the juice added in, so everything is ready. So I've just added into the pot the 1.5 cup of finely grated peeled carrots, 1.5 cups chopped, cored, and peeled pears, 1 3/4 cup of canned pineapple with the juice, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, and as you can see, I have added the spices in. I separated them out so you'd see it. So there's 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, followed by half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and over here, half a teaspoon of ground cloves. Now just turn the heat on, and I am bringing it to a boil over high heat. So I turned that down a little bit while I was talking to you, but I'm to bring it to boil over high heat, which means I'm not going to leave it. I'm going to stay right here, and I will be stirring frequently. I will reduce the heat after it comes to a boil, cover, and boil gently for 20 minutes, and that's going to combine all the flavors, and I will be keeping an eye on it and stirring it frequently. As you can see, it's come to a boil. Well, let's give it 1 minute to make sure it's a true boil. Now note the size of the pot. It's quite deep. I always go to the heaviest bottom pot that I have. And now I will turn that down, cover it, and this is going to remind me to, so I covered it, and this is going to remind me to stir it. Bring to a boil, reduce heat, yep, reduced heat, check. Cover and boil gently for 20 minutes. Yeah, bring it down a little bit more. And I will start the timer. 46. Ooh, look at that. It's just about ready for me to add the final few ingredients. I'm just going to double check. Okay. Need 1 of these for this recipe. The other I've kind of prepared ahead for my next 2 batches. I didn't see any sense in dirtying a dish for it, so half teaspoon goes in for this recipe. So have that ready, have my sugar. This is up next. I need to whisk it in. So I have the original Bernardin original fruit pectin. I have my lids and my rings separate. They've been washed. This is my bowl of vinegar, my little white cloth for the top of the jars, and this is my debubbler in this jar separate. So this I find is the best flow for me when I start filling jars. So I can see now that the time is up for 20 minutes, you pull it off the heat, you whisk in the pectin. So I bring it back to the heat, add in the butter, whisk that in. This is going to help it not to foam as much as it is a fat, and it magically does that. Now I will be stirring in the sugar. So this is what I consider a hard boil, when you have bubbles that you cannot stir down. And I need it to sit at this for 1 minute. And this is very important for the setting up of this jam when it cools off in the jars. So that jar is steaming hot. We are going to put that right in there. Ladle this in piping hot, because this will ensure a good seal. And gently, because these little jars do fill up fast. So I'll just very carefully bring it to there. And with my end of this nice
ice cream sorbet spoon. I am going to debubble. Put it back in that jar. And let's see. Oh, I'm going to need a little bit. Just a teeny tiny. Like I said, these ones come up fast. I only need a 1/4 inch headspace in this. It's not a lot. There we go. I think we're pretty darn close. And now with the vinegar, I'm going to wipe the edges. There we go. When your jars are in the canner, make sure they are covered by at least 1 inch of water. So to seal this, so finger tighten, and just see how I just slightly turn that, and that's all you have to do. This is the last jar that's going into the canner. I follow the directions by Bernardin to only do 1 jar at a time. This way, each jar is at optimal temperature for going in the canner. To boiling, and time it for 10 minutes. Then I'm going, while it's doing that, I'm cleaning this out. I will save this in a small container. It'll be safe in the fridge. And I'll clean out the pot and start my next batch. Now, very carefully, bring your jars out straight up. Do not tip off or tilt. Leave the water on there. You can always dab it off. Very important, when you bring your jars out straight up, resist the urge to take that water off the top of the jar. Do it straight, no tilting, as much as possible, and set it there. Has been 10 minutes, and I remove the lid, and that lid's going to stay off for 5 minutes before I remove the jars. Well, the second batch is done. I didn't make the third batch today like I thought. I kind of ran out of time, but they will stay there until tomorrow. And then they'll go down to my cold cellar.